right, this should be the last of our lectures for today, for week 2. And now we're going to talk about ownership interest. Ownership interest in land. Now, your book discusses some of the history of property law. It talks about how going back into the Middle Ages, back in the days of feudalism, when there were fiefdoms and serfs and all this, knights and landowners and landlords and tenants and whatnot. Our current property laws, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I guess, stem back from way back in the Middle Ages. So a lot of the language is just held over from those times. But the concepts continue. And it's not that complicated. I hope I can explain it to you pretty well. There are 7 different modern day estates. Now, when I say the word estates in this class, what I'm talking about is ownership interest. So estates in land equal ownership in land. So this is some of that technology that we have to wrap our heads around, and vocabulary, not technology, vocabulary that we have to wrap our heads around. An estate just means an interest in ownership. Interest in ownership. See, the thing is, being an owner of property, there are different ways to do it, and we call these things different interests. The most inclusive, normal, everyday, what you would think of as ownership is known as a fee simple estate, also called a fee simple absolute. And I wish I could give you an easy explanation for what this language is. Where does this fee simple come from? But I can't. It comes from the Middle Ages. That's all I can say. So a fee simple estate is the most inclusive, maximum legal ownership. Most of us, if we own property, we own it in fee simple. It means it's ours right now, it's ours completely. It's complete ownership. If you own property, well, you don't owe it to the bank, you're not still paying for it. If you own property, you probably own it in fee simple. So if you see a question on a test that says, what is the maximum legal ownership available? It's a fee simple or a fee simple absolute, a fee simple estate. This is the maximum ownership that you can have. This is what we think of when we're talking about ownership of land. Normally it's a fee simple. Okay. The next option, it could be, we want the text to be in black. It could be a fee simple determinable. A fee simple determinable is an ownership interest with a condition attached. So, for example, for example, maybe the condition is, I'm going to give this land to my daughter as long as she finishes college. So the condition is she's got to finish college. So with a fee simple determinable, it's an ownership interest with a condition attached. If the condition isn't met, ownership automatically reverts to the previous owner. We have some magic words we use when we're going to create a fee simple determinable. And in the deed, when I'm conveying my land to my daughter on the condition that she finishes college, I will use the magic words so long as. So I might say something like, I give this property to my daughter Victoria so long as she finishes college. If she doesn't finish college, the property automatically reverts to me, the previous owner. The next modern day estate is a fee simple with a condition subsequent. This is very similar to a fee simple determinable, and it's very likely that you will have a test question that asks you the differences between a fee simple determinable and a fee simple condition subsequent. A fee simple with a condition subsequent is an ownership interest with a condition attached. Just like the fee simple determinable. However, if the condition isn't met, the prior owner has the right, it's called a right of re-entry. The prior owner has the right to re-enter and take the land back, to recover the land. But if he doesn't do it, the new owner gets to keep it. So with the fee simple determinable, ownership automatically reverts to the previous owner. With the fee simple condition subsequent, the prior owner has the right to re-enter, but if they don't do it, the new owner gets to keep it. And again, there's magic words to create a condition subsequent, and the magic words are, on the express condition that Victoria finishes college, and if the condition isn't met, then the previous owner has the right to re-enter. So these magic words in real estate law, there are many times where we have these magic words. And the magic words are a signal that we've had for hundreds of years that tell a judge who's looking at this deed exactly what the original owner intended. So the thing that you need to know about a fee simple condition subsequent is that the magic words are, on the express condition that, whatever, she finished college, whatever the condition is, and if this condition isn't met, then Bonnie has the right to re-enter. But another thing you need to know is, again, ownership doesn't automatically revert. The previous owner has to exert their right and actually come and take it. Okay, the next modern day estate is known as a life estate. And a life estate is an ownership interest that is limited in time and duration for the length of a life of somebody. Is limited in duration for basically it's until somebody dies. Okay, so an example of this might be I give to my daughter ownership of my property for her life. And in doing this, I would need to name who would get it after the life estate ends. Another thing you need to know about a life estate is that it doesn't necessarily have to be for that person's life. It could be the life of a third person. So, for example, I could say I give my property to my daughter for as long as her husband is alive. I can't. I got to think of a better example, something that makes more sense. I can't think of an example. I give the property to my daughter as long as her son is alive, and then if the son dies, her ownership ends. And normally, the reason we're doing this is we're wanting to benefit some other person. So it could be I give the property to Victoria for her lifetime, and then to her brother James. So the way it works is Victoria gets to live here for her lifetime, but then when she dies, the property goes to her brother James. So it's a way for a current owner to direct who's going to get the property on down the road. So that is a life estate. Now you'll notice that when I created a life estate, I also created a future interest. In this example, I give the property to Victoria for her lifetime and then to her brother James. Victoria got a life estate. What did James get? James got a future interest. So James has a future interest in the property. Someday he is going to be the owner of the property. A future interest, he could sell his interest. So he could sell it to his brother Thomas. Or he could, if he dies before Victoria, his interest will pass on to his children. So, okay. So future interest is an ownership interest that isn't vested yet. So, it will be sometime in the future. The next, how did we get all this? Let's see. Ooh, we don't want that. Anyway, the next ownership modern day estate is known as an estate for years. And this is similar to a life estate in that it's an ownership interest that's for a limited time. A life estate is, the time limit is based on the life of the person named. An estate for years is an ownership interest that's limited to some time period set by the grantor. So I could convey my land to my daughter for 5 years and then to my son. And again, in that case, I've created an estate for years for Victoria and a future interest for James. The last one is an estate at will. This is another ownership interest. It's limited, but instead of being limited to a set period of time, it's limited to the grantor's will, not will. Not a will as in what you write for when you die, but the grantor's whatever he decides. So the grantor can at any time say, okay, time's up, I want my land back. So it's limited to whenever the grantor wants his land back. So, okay, that is pretty much everything I wanted to cover for chapter 1. It is quite a bit of stuff there. I wish that we could have done this in person because I want to make sure that you followed what I was talking about. But when I come back, we will get a chance to go over this and see how you're doing. And please send me your questions if you have any, email or text. And your assignment for next week is to read pages 20 through 25 and 35 through 37 of chapter 2. And this is on concurrent ownerships. So next week we'll be talking about different methods of owning property when you own it with somebody else and what your rights are for that. I know I had in the syllabus that I also wanted you to read about the surveys, chapter 3, but I think we've got enough on our plates so far, and so let's just do the chapter 2 concurrent ownership, and we'll push chapter 3 off to the following week. So I hope that this was okay for you guys, and if you have any questions,